Hello and welcome to the Racetech V8 Supercar Series live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, and alongside me for this round 2 of the championship is Marco Barboneer. And Marco, it is fantastic to be back with the series once again. Last time it was Monza with no chicanes, a slightly more standard layout today, this classic Suzuka circuit. It is a legendary circuit and a great place for round 2 of the championship.
A fantastic place to be, everyone. Hello, welcome, wherever you may be in the world. This is going to be a good one, of course. Yes, you said the right thing. The drivers absolutely, I think, happy to be back to a more traditional racetrack after the madness that was Monza with no chicane. A first round of the season that really put some drivers in the spotlight and others as well, but for all the wrong reasons. One I'm looking at right now is Johnny Brandon, of course. Two did not finish for him in race 1 and race 2. And before we go into qualifying, which is already underway, let's give you a glimpse at the championship standings with that I decided they don't want to work after working all the time during the pre-race roll. So let's try this again. And here we go. Nicole Fogel leads the way with 420 points. Jake Blackwell is in second, 384. George McClay, 378. Steve Lavelli, 370. Chris Jackson rounds up your top 5 with 366. As you can see, of course, early days in the series. And many drivers, of course, will probably use the Monza round as a drop round. As you can see, Johnny Brandon only 98 points, which are very little in the grand scheme of things. If technology is on our side, I will gladly show you the team standings. I thank you to, of course, to Clyde Whiting for providing them to us. And here we go with Never Quit Racing leading the way, 664 in front of the two XVR teams. One at 649, one at 647, then Texans at 587, and the other Never Quit Racing team, the red team, at 496. So we are back with another double header round, Sam, with of course the sprint race and the feature race coming up your way very shortly. Let's see the qualifying session, how it is shaping up right now with the gaps. Let's see the screen. It's a XVR lockout of the front row so far. Foggy and Brandon are first and second.
Yeah, and anyone who is a long-term fan of this series, and of course the drivers will be listening back to this as well, I'm sure they'll remember the Suzuka round from 4 seasons ago. It was the penultimate round of the championship, I believe, here at Suzuka, and it was one of the endurance races back when the endurance races were 2 hours in length, and Foggy and Brandon had a classic battle. I believe Foggy made one extra pit stop, was chasing down Brandon in the closing stages, and Brandon won by about half a tenth of a second. One more corner, and Foggy would have taken the spot. So that was a great race. Hopefully we'll see a couple of equally as good races. Remember, the format for, at least this standard format for this Racetech V8 Supercar Series is 25-minute first race and then a 45-minute second race. Reverse grid as well, and it's pretty likely that we're going to see a big reverse grid as well. Once again, good turnout from the drivers. Nearly 30 drivers are here, a bit lower than at Monza. However, I think all the series regulars that we've seen from over the years very much involved today. As Marco was saying, currently in XVR lockouts, McClay in third, Steve Lavelli up in fourth place, Marco. I mean, Lavelli and Carr, I'd say, are the two drivers which really stand out to me so far, who have improved significantly with this new car. And I don't want to be disrespectful to Steve Lavelli at all, but he's a driver who I've seen in GT3 cars as well, and he always seems to be quite a bit behind his teammates Foggy and Brandon. And yeah, out here, he's only 4/10 of a second off the defending champion. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, of course, when you are teammates with Foggy and Brandon, it's quite the benchmark. By the way, just as I was we were reminiscing about that enduro event. I still remember the final gap between first and second was 0.080 across the line.
Wow.
Absolutely, as one of my, I think it was my third broadcast of the series, if I'm
I
not
think it was,
mistaken.
yeah, because you did Bathurst and Coater before then, I think.
Yes, yeah, you are absolutely right. And so it's nice to be back here, of course. Expecting more of the same. We also have the brand new reverse grid wheel designed by Sam Kumo, which was, by my mistake, not used the last time around. iRacing hopefully has revealed us the secrets behind the cars looking like boxes with wheels in the distance. That should be less of an issue, and we can show these fantastic new supercars in all of their glory as qualifying is over, and let's see how it is going to pan out for these drivers trying to improve on this series. They schedule the races they at a very methodical pace every 2 weeks. So it can happen, like this week, of course, that sometimes the series clashes with one of the racing enduros. So I think that the drivers we are not seeing are probably down under driving the, the the GT3s around Bathurst. We are keeping it true with the V8s in Japan, of course. And I know that you, Sam, also are involved in the race as well as we speak. So you will jump away, I think, after the race for some more driving.
Yeah, we're still in the race. I was top split as well. Sorry that I'm really disappointed. I've got tears running down my face, and we were in top split, running 8th place in Porsches, and we were hit by another car. But we're still going, and hopefully I will have a car to return to later on. I'm sure a few of these guys as well will be racing as well. I think the Racecraft guys must be racing. I'm sure, at least a few of the drivers are. And also Evolution Racing Team, Jamie McKnight's driving for them. I'm pretty sure I saw them about as well, so I'm sure they'll be very prominent later on in that split.
It is quite
As yeah,
terrifying to do a broadcast knowing that there is an enduro going on. I remember I did the F3.5 broadcast during the Daytona 24, and I was so scared that at my return on the track I would have found a pile of debris instead of a race car. Which sadly it happened the moment I came, but that's a whole nother story. Nicole Foggy seems to be our pole sitter. Here comes in this shiny new green Holden Nikolai Bogatayev 203.4. One more driver we are waiting for. Will he have time to set his fast time? Is Andrew Hoffman without a valid time as Michael Frost, Greg Carr, Lane O'Connor, and I'm seeing, I don't know if he's going to race or not, also Ashley Sutton is in the session. Let's see if the CQR driver and of course BTCC driver is going to join us for the fun today, as Hoffman
I'm so
is get.
used to seeing. Sorry,
You're used to seeing?
uh, I'm used to seeing Ash Sutton instead of Ashley Sutton because I think we changed his nickname for ARLTC. So I did do think, is that actually the right Ash Sutton? I assume it is. The 116 car. However, didn't set a practice time either. So doubt he'll be on the grid. Andrew Hoffman didn't cross the line to start this last lap anyway, just getting a little bit more extra practice. We'll see if it pays dividends. So then, the grid for the second round of the championship as Nicole Foggy, race winner already this season on pole position. He's a 10th and a half clear of his teammate Johnny Brandon. George McClay lines up in third place in car number 3. Then it's Steve Lavelli, Chris Jackson, Kane Halliburton, Jake Blackhall, Richard Alsop, Tony Klusterman starting down in ninth place. Marco Nomella rounds out the top 10. Then it's Yasser Sebula, Richard Warmingham, Jamie McKnight, Adam Chimulesky, Wayne Sanderson, Matt Bunn, Sam Buzan, Tyler Newitt, Clyde Whiting, Peter Bingham, Anthony Woodward, Nikolai Bogatayev, and Dominic Sori in 23rd place. Ash Sutton hopefully will take the grid. We've also got Lane O'Connor, Andrew Hoffman, Michael Frost, and Greg Carr, who will be hopefully taking to the grid. There they all are, lining up on the grid. They got a couple of minutes to get onto the grid. Marco, how about overtaking around the space? Do you think if Foggy gets into turn 1 safely, do you think that's going to be 9/10 of the race completed?
That's a very tough question to answer. It's going to be, I believe, a very, very, very hard race for passing, but it will be possible, especially at the Casio Triangle. We might see some moves, and maybe in turn 1 as well. These are going to be the two, and of course the hairpin, the 3 major passing spots for tonight.
Yeah, we'll see if there's too many overtakes around those areas of the circuit. Certainly, Johnny Brandon, if he's going to get his championship back on track, he is going to need a couple of them. So then, the lights coming on for this Suzuka round. Race 1 is underway. Foggy tries to get to the inside of the circuit straight away. It's a good enough start to hold off Brandon. We've already got cars spinning off into the wall. That was maybe one of the XVR cars making big contact. Going into turn 1, Jackson already ahead of Lavelli. Also, Jake Blackhall with an awful start. I think there was a bit of context as well further down on the entry to turn 1. Dropping down is Tony Klusterman after a poor qualifying. He's already down another 6 places into 15th position. Ash Sutton did take the start. He's up 7 places already.
Yeah, there is the CQR club driver without a livery, so he must be a very, very last minute entrant into the championship, because the paint pack was updated earlier today by the organizers. Nevertheless, here we go into the Degners, a double right-hander with Foggy still leading the way from his teammate Brandon and George McClay. So the top 3 stay the same, everyone else has shuffled and moved around as they head for the first time into the famous hairpin.
Yeah, can we see a Kamui Kobayashi-esque move, perhaps going for a bit of a dive, very slow run for, what's that, Richard Warming, oh, spinner, and there's a few drivers getting involved there. That's Peter Bingham, he was 90 degrees to the circuit, and now everyone's getting held behind. Maybe it wasn't Bingham, he certainly had a poor corner, however, but there's now a massive gap of cars between Warmingham and Sebula now, as Chmielewski tries to profit from this mess. You can see the massive amounts of cars, over half the field, all within a few seconds of one another at the moment. And Chmielewski getting a tight exit there, cannot take that position. Now Matt Bunn is going to draw alongside him. To the outside goes Bunn. It's going to be a brave, potentially classic move into 130. Can he carry the speed around the outside? He sure can. Chmielewski has to hold back.
Oh dear!
Bunn has done it, and he's nearly gone into Chmielewski.
And Chmielewski disappears at the right moment. Also, I think that the Adam's car is not pointing straight, and in fact he's heading for the pits. Yeah, I saw some crabbing steering wheel as we have O'Connor in the grass there, and I think Bingham is also pointing in the wrong direction now into the grass. Lots of contact in this first, I mean, nothing compared to what happened in Monza, as the two XVR drivers now trying to pull away from McClay. I think this will be the fight that we will see all season long, Sam. And we are just getting started, of course. 25 minutes, this first race of the night.
Can't recall who you took as your championship winner. I went for Chris Jackson. That was on the Apex Racing TV Weekly Roundup podcast, which you can see on our YouTube channel every week. But still, Brandon is right on the tail. Foggy's putting on good pressure at the moment on his own teammate. Never have these two collided with each other, as far as we can recall on this series. In fact, the XVR drivers are notorious for not crashing into each other in the multiple series that they occupy, despite the fact that they are always very close to one another. Hopefully, well, there is an element of us which maybe wants to see that run being broken today, but so far no signs of it occurring. Michael Frost apparently in 21st place, up 6 places himself. Who did you go for the title win, Marco?
You know, I don't remember. I think I've said Johnny Brandon. I was showing Michael Frost because he's in P21 and second in the club championship race. Greg Carr did not take the start, but more importantly, the leader of the club championship category right now, he's in 5th place. Steve Lavelli, we were talking about him as Foggy grabs the fastest lap of the race, 2:01.372. So with no Greg Carr, it's Steve Lavelli's turn today, I think, to dominate at least his first race in the club championship. So sorry about the repetition there. As we see Tony Klusterman trying to make a move on Ash Sutton. Of course, trying to come back, both of these drivers for different reasons. Sutton started from the back, whilst Tony has had a poor start, and I think also went for a trip in the daisies in the first few moments of the race. Let's jump on board with him.
Superb section of corners. This perhaps can't quite appreciate it in these V8 Supercars. In single seaters, really have to thrash the car around, whereas in these cars you've got to be ever so patient. You can see even through Dunlop you've got to be on half throttle almost all the way. A remarkable small amount of time on full throttle around this circuit, such as the difficulty of these V8 Supercars. Of course, relatively new to iRacing, being released a couple of months back. And Kloosman nowhere near close enough for the hairpin overtake, which I don't see too many overtakes on iRacing, which is surprising, seeing that you can become a little bit more open when it comes to overtaking than in real life, as Kloosman's got a tremendous run here. Sutton's struggling, it seems, with getting the power down and paced through those fast corners. Kloosman putting his car down the inside. Sutton is offline, however it's a narrow place, this proper old school circuit, and there's absolutely nothing he can do at the moment. Here he comes this time, down the inside, Tony Kloosman, and that was rather simple. I wonder if Sutton was quite content on leaving the double champion by.
.697, again Foggy with a good lap. Look at this battle here, Jackson, Lavelli, Halliburton, Alsop, Nurmela and Wormingham all together, dangerous moments.
Jackson defends into turn one. Halliburton might be able to get ahead of fourth on the grid, Lavelli, and Lavelli's offline again. He might lose another place to a racecraft driver. This time it's going to be Richard Alsop, potentially, who nudges his car down the inside. It's inside and then outside. Can any of them get their full car ahead to be able to get back the racing line? No, they're going to stay alongside. Wormingham might have the better line into Dunlop. This is going to be brave from Alsop to run all the way around the perimeter of the circuit. However, he will have the inside for the Degners, and that is the advantage he'll have. So nicely done there for Richard Alsop. Had to work for that one. They lost a little bit of time to the drivers ahead, however, seemingly got a lot of pace as Alsop. He should be able to catch back up. Next up will be Nomella and Wormingham. Wormingham showing good pace after an underwhelming qualifying.
See how close they are here. A good move from the driver from the great country of Finland, as we say hello to Sam Kumo, who is of course the unsung hero of our podcast. Doing all the nice graphics stuff. Now trying to make the move is his fellow countryman for Racecraft Esports Olden, who has to look behind him because of course we could have Richard Wormingham coming for his 8th place as well. And as we go into 130R once again, let's stay on board with the XVR sim racing driver.
Large braking areas in this car, and that's what Wormingham's going to take advantage of. He's deep on the brakes. That's a textbook move, and he stopped the car because he had to stop the car just to yank the front tyres round. And that is nicely done there from Richard Wormingham. I don't think there's too much that Mella can complain about there. Wormingham was just so slow. You could see he was looking as though he was going to get it done comfortably, and came across a little bit. But yeah, that was a nice move there from the 714 car. And he's up into 8th place once again, I say. That's he's got good pace. Yassel Sebula trying to make an impact behind. He's up into 10th. Jake Blackwell, who was ever so impressive at Monza, was really arguably the second fastest driver on that day. Second place in the championship at the moment, down in 11th. 4 places down from his race start. However, on that last lap, he was quite a bit faster than these drivers. Nomella just with a 2:05. The race here is doing 2:01, such as they're battling at the moment. Jackson catching up to McClay now. Apologies, no, that's Jackson still ahead of Halliburton. Apologies, McClay miles ahead of Jackson. Quite a divide between the top 3 and everyone else.
Yeah, he lapped 1 second quicker than Jackson did McClay his last lap, 2:01.5 against 2:02.5. As Birmingham is trying to pull away from Nurmela, but Nurmela, I think, wanting revenge for that hard but fair move into the Casio triangle, not the Casino triangle, of course, which could be the new name of the corner.
I must say our American contingency on iRacing aren't the on Apex Racing TV, sorry, aren't the best at words. I'd say Casino Triangle was not one of their great moments. Casio Triangle, oh, of course, whatever that means. Do you know what that means, Marco? You may as well have Japanese listeners.
Triangle because it looks like a triangle, and Casio because of the sponsor, the watchmakers, among other things.
Aha, okay. So lap 6 of this race 1. Third race of the season. Traditional format today, just as it was at round 1 of the championship. That was at Monza, no chicanes. Foggy taking the spoils in race 1. McClay getting his customary 1 race win of the season as well. He's won 1 race at the last 2 seasons. Finished in 2nd and 3rd positions as well in those championships. He'll be hoping to go 1 better than last season, undoubtedly, and we'll be looking to, as I said, currently running in 3rd place with Foggy and Brandon leading the way. Sanderson, who I think was kind of caught up in some instance on the opening of the race. He's right on the tail of Jamie McKnight, who is not having it all his own way. Not the best race so far for Never Quit Racing. Usually occupy at least 1 spot on the podium, but currently running as high as Chris Jackson in 4th place. Sanderson nowhere near close enough to go for a move into the hairpin. So just ahead of these guys, Sebula and Blackhall going side by side. Blackhall round the outside. Doesn't want to dip a wheel onto the grass, otherwise I'll be straight into the wall. Almost contact between the two of them. Going into Spoon Corner, Sebula tries to squeeze his rival on the inside. Blackhall's having absolutely none of it, but they maintain side by side. It's usually the driver on the outside has a better run as they get quarter paneled and into the middle of the circuit as well. Sebula fortunately manages to get it out of the middle of the circuit, and now Blackhall is stationary, trying to let the rest of the field go by, and that seemed as though it was just Blackhall understeering into Sebula, who kept his nose on the outside.
Big for
netcode as well,
yeah, and not a good moment for CQR because apparently something went wrong for Ash Sutton. As you can see, proceeding very slowly after the hairpin. Oh, he blew the engine.
Blown engine.
I don't recall any kind of big hit for Ashley before this moment.
Well, it takes me back to Nicole Foggy, round 1, season 6 at Montreal, where randomly on the first race of the season, half a lap into the season, his engine blew up. I assume that wasn't Ash Sutton's fault, but mega unlucky for him. Hopefully we'll see him back in race 2.
As you can see, Jaroslav Sebula using some weight reduction techniques on his car. Now under big pressure.
He'll save fuel.
I'm sure he will. Trying to... Jake Blackhall is in the pits as Woodward moves on the inside of the Polish driver and makes the move back at the front of the field. Still, it's Nicole Foggy over Johnny Brandon. These two guys are going hand in hand. It's the early part of the season. I think no reason to risk it for both of them. Of course, we know that the XVR guys are open to fight on the track. This year they are divided. Holden for Foggy and Ford for Brandon. So this would make, of course, Johnny the favorite for the championship, in my opinion. But of course, now, I'm not speaking but of course tonight last night I brought my Ford Mustang in victory lane at Daytona in the major series, so you know I represent the blue oval, and it makes you go faster even in NASCAR.
But Marco, you're so talented. You could get a smart car to the top step of the podium at Daytona. Of course, congratulations. Marco did want everyone to know, of course, that he won his is it what do you call it? Like split or draft or
No, my duel. It was a duel.
duel?
So
Apologies, yeah.
basically, I want to make it clear that with my qualifying time, I was nowhere near making the top split. So this was like a a last chance saloon. In this, we did qualifying. As Foggy is making a mistake there, even another mistake, and here we go. All of a sudden, look at Johnny Brandon, 2/10 of a second away, and he's moving left and right. Let's see if he's going to push hard. So basically, yeah, we were divided into two duels, two fields of snake split. So the pole sitter got the pole in one, the second qualifier got the pole in the other duel. So they were basically equal. And the top 6 advanced to the big show on Sunday, and I was lucky enough to bring home the victory in my duel.
Alsop on the tail of his teammate. Plenty of teammate battles going on, and this is on Kane Halliburton. He seemed to be putting good pressure on Chris Jackson a moment ago, but not anymore. This is Ash Sutton.
Another issue for him, as I think these are the cold tires. I think he went in for his fast repair, of course.
Don't think he'll be eligible for the reverse gritting. They had to tow back to the pits, because they do get one fast repair. Do these drivers in both races. Certainly worth using one if you have blown your engine. Yeah, he is over a lap down, is Ash Sutton, so I don't think he'll be eligible for that. Pete Bingham, 1 lap in front of him. I believe the last driver eligible for the reverse grid. However, it's rare that we see a full reverse grid. Usually it's full -4 or something like that. But best of luck to Peter Bingham. I'm sure he'd love to be on the front row of the grid. Also, Jake Blackhall running down in 21st position at the moment. He would be a big beneficiary as well after that big crash coming out of Spoon. Foggy only 4/10 of a second ahead of Brandon, and maybe that's as close as Brandon will get. He had half a chance maybe into the hairpin. However, to go for a move like that would have been very ambitious. And Marco, it's always, particularly around here, I must say, everyone seems to be sliding constantly. You never have a perfect corner as such. Every corner is a struggle. It shows the difficulty of these cars, and these are two of the best drivers in all of iRacing in this V8 Supercar, and yet it looks as though they have almost no control at any point.
Yes, I agree with you. On the positive side for them, with the old tires, first slide and then your race is basically compromised because you need to nurse the tires back home. There is no way you can come back from that. But now, with the V7 tires, you have a bit more leeway. But look at that, because I think Mr. McClay here is getting closer and closer to the fight. Let's see if we can get a graphic of the time delta. And no, the gap is actually increasing. No, it's decreasing. It is decreasing. Yes, decreasing in the last lap, of course, because of the mistake. As we have a problem for Chemilevsky here. He's been fighting tough race all race long. Maybe he made a mistake here at the hairpin. Sliding and giving the fans something to cheer about.
I don't think there's a big grandstand at that corner, is there? There certainly should be. I assume there would be if there was space. Very much built on the around the terrain, I guess, this place. Anyone who's seen Southpaw Racer though knows how this circuit was nearly not as it originally was. I think there were going to be 2 overlaps at one point. So I guess it'd be a figure of a double figure of 8s. I don't know, double a figure of 16. I don't know. I don't know what that is. But it would have been even more chaotic. I think this was definitely the best layout they could have possibly have chosen, because test track for Honda back in the long time ago. Really close at the moment for P5. We might just have to go back to that, because Halliburton holding off Alsop. And there's a big queue of drivers. Lavelli, Warmingham, Namella. Doesn't seem to be the racecraft drivers necessarily struggling for tyres, because Namella has really good pace at the back of this train. But Lavelli and Warmingham. Lavelli, of course, starting in 4th place on the grid. Warmingham even further down than that. Seems to be very evenly matched. And it's only 2 teams, but 5 drivers really going at it.
This seems to be like a very, very good fight, as we are about to enter the final 5 minutes. We are already in the final 5 minutes of the race. Let's see, because you know, if you are in this pack, you know, you might want to make a move, but if you make a mistake, instead of gaining 1 place, you might lose 3 or 4. So everyone is a bit tentative at the moment. They don't want to risk it too much, as the leaders come on the start-finish line for another lap. Lap 11 starts now. Couple of tenths faster than Foggy was Brandon. Foggy makes a bit of a mistake. Here we go.
Brandon down the inside. Is this going to be the change for the lead? Foggy will have the inside for the first part of the S's, and he doesn't hang on. Brandon back down the inside. We saw side by side earlier on, and it was the driver on the outside at this point who managed to profit from it. And once again, it is Johnny Brandon who takes the lead of the race. He's got past his teammate Nicole Foggy and is on course for his first race victory of the season. McLean nearly got on the case just in time to take full advantage of it. However, he wasn't quite close enough, and now Foggy is going to have to do the hard work to get back track position.
Super quickly to the replay, but it is already too late.
Oh wow, it's a complete mistake, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Seems as though it might be better to be the chasing car rather than the car ahead. Almost as though you can just take in that extra couple of percent of speed into the corner, you have a bit more of a reference. The slipstream effect's negligible in this car, certainly around a circuit like this where the straights aren't massively long and they are sliding ever so much. The track temperature relatively cool. It might be a lot warmer for race 2. 30 degrees the track is up to. It started off at about 28, would have been even cooler during qualifying. And yet they are really struggling. McLean can't get much closer himself. And Foggy lining this one up, maybe for another attack into first curve.
2 to go at the line.
Lap 12 of the race. And Foggy is now getting into the slipstream. It takes him out about half the straight to really start gaining time. And he seems like the faster driver now that he's got much less to lose. Rarely do these guys change position on circuit. They are so evenly matched that nothing can break the tiebreak. And yet it has already been broken. Will it be broken for a second time? Foggy taking a wider line, an alternative line to his teammate. But he's losing time through the S's right now.
So here comes McLean. McLean won't be held back by any kind of team relationship. He is very much alone in this fight against the XVR drivers today, so he is on his own. Of course, a 3rd place would be fantastic, but when you are there, you always want more. Just like me yesterday, already knowing that I was secured of a spot in the Daytona 500, yet in the last lap I went for the win. So, you know, it's that killer instinct that every driver has, including me, even if that sounds crazy. And no, I'm not going to milk this for the next 365 days. No, absolutely.
I mean, you milked Sebring for a year, and that's coming to an end now. So you've got this now to boast about for the next 12 months. I mean, I'm still not over winning the PSRTC Winter Series, and that literally ended over a year ago. So I'm much better than you, Marco. Or much worse than you, Marco. Brandon defending into Casio Triangle. That's a tight line, and now Foggy's got the cutback. McClay, once again, not quite tight enough. He could have maybe been able to get past into the next corner. So, we move on to the last lap of the race then. Foggy, a tenth and a half behind. It's not much of a braking zone. Going down into turn one. He puts his car on the
they
inside.
make contact!
There's the two of them. And off the circuit goes Johnny Branson. Can he keep it out of the wall? He can't. How much
And look
damage
who's
is on
leading.
that car? And Foggy's going slow as well because he's going to let his teammate back pass. And now, George McClay, who's taken one race win in Season 5, one race win in one race win in Season 6, one race win in Season 7. He might well get his second race win out of only 3 races in Season 8. And there it was, Granton leaving the inside of the corner open. Foggy went to the inside and contact between the two of them.
And like we say here in Italy, when two people argue, it's the third one that is the happier every time. And George McClay proves this to be true once again as he is riding off in the sunset with a very surprising race victory. Here we go, the swap between the XVR teammates. What a class act, Nicole Foggy, but I'm sure he will be kicking at himself. He will be kicking himself, furious for what just happened because they threw away a 1-2, a sure 1-2, and they gave away an important victory to George McClay and his Texans Fitzai Motorsport team. Running now on the backstretch. What a way to kick off the evening, and of course we have one more of this, double the distance coming your way next. But first, McClay needs to come home and he is just about ready to do so.
Yeah, he was running pretty much by himself in third place. Foggy benefited on the media day from the Never Quit Racing drivers taking each other out. This time, it's George McClay who benefits from the XVR drivers making contact. George McClay, the Texans Fitstone Motorsport, crosses the line to win race 1 at Suzuka. Already his second race victory of the season. Second place is Johnny Granton. He beats Nicole Foggy. However, it's not the top step of the podium that he would have been wanting. Behind them, Jackson in fourth. Halliburton holds off Alstop, Laverty, Warmingham and Nomella. There was no changes amongst those drivers. And Woodwards, has he just overtaken?
He has.
Matt Bunn and
Bunn,
Bokataev, who's suddenly coming onto the scene right at the end. However, the line comes up quick. And that will be all for them. So, as a spinner.
One of the Asia drivers.
Buzan?
Yeah.
It is Buzan, and he's hit the wall and he's lost the front of his car. Will he lose any more positions? He has lost to Sebula just there, and this is how it happened. Oh, it was by himself, I think.
Yeah, he already had that damage at the front. But yeah, that was almost contact with his teammate, but it wasn't in the end. He was already speeding on his own. That is everyone home safe and sound, apart from Peter Bingham, who is right now tackling the Casio Triangle for the final time in this race with that beautiful metallic chrome green front of the car, which I absolutely love. Vulcan Esports RHD. And here we go. The final race results for race 1.
George McClay starts in third place, car number 3, finishes on the top step of the podium. 6 seconds clear of Johnny Brennan. We won't see a much bigger gap in a race 1 all season long. However, it was much closer than that in reality. Foggy was 1/10 of a second behind. Jackson 10 seconds behind in the end. Just didn't have the pace to keep up with those top guys. Kane Halliburton rounds out the top 5. Then it was Richard Alsop, Steve Lavelli, Richard Warmingham, Marco Nomella, Jamie McKnight rounding up the top 10. Nice recovery there from McKnight. Wayne Sanderson was 11th. Tony Klusman, after a poor start, only 21 seconds off the lead, to be fair, in 12th. Then it's Anthony Woodward, Matt Bunn, Nikolai Bogatayev, Clyde Whiting, Dominic Sori, Adam Chmielewski, with a very damaged car. In fact, it was Sebula with the very damaged car in 19th place. Sam Buzan in 20th. Jake Blackhall, after a collision, had to come into the pits. He finishes in 21st. And the last driver eligible for the reverse grid, because he finished on the lead lap, was Peter Bingham. 1 lap down was Tyler Newitt and Michael Frost. 2 laps down was Ash Sutton after an engine blow-up. And the retirees were Lane O'Connor and Andrew Hoffman. Grid car did not take the start.
I'm thinking
So, Marco,
yeah, I think Rekar might have known he couldn't attend race 1, so maybe he's just in to be in the mix for race 2. We'll see.
yes, that could be a good point. By the way, his practice time was only half a second off the top 3, so he could well be in the running for a good result. However, he will be starting from the back. So the second time we're going to spin the reverse grid wheel, Marco, of the season. However, it's the first time with this new wheel, so we're very excited.
Exactly. Season 8 wheel with the new Apex Racing TV logo. And of course, thank you very much to Samuli. Let's roll it. Okay, it is going to be 16 minus 1, which tells me it is 15, and is going to be Nikolai Bogatairev after that photo finish with Woodward and Ban. So he gets pole position in front of Ban himself. Woodward, Tony Klusterman with a great chance, and I think Wayne Sanderson rounding up the top 5, Sam.
Yes, Clyde Whiting just missing out, which is mind-boggling, seeing that he inputs what the reverse grid is going to be. So bad news for Clyde Whiting. To be fair, I was feeling sympathetic to him. He's got car number 13. So, what do you expect if you're going to put a curse on yourself like that? So unlucky to him, but good luck to Nikolai Bogatyrev, starting on pole position then for race 2. Race 1 was pretty action-packed. Race 2 should be even more. Hopefully you'll catch us back in about 20 minutes time here at Suzuka. Welcome back to the Racetech V8 Supercar series live on Apex Racing TV. Once again, I am Sam Fitzpatrick, and once again alongside me to cover this evening's racing is Marco Barbonet. We are prepping for race 2 of the evening, race 4 of the season. And Marco, it was a surprising end to race 1. I was saying in the early stages, the XVR drivers, despite running close, they never hit each other. They hit each other on the last lap of the race. It gave this man, George McClay, the race victory, his second race victory of the season. I mean, after that, race 1, where the impossible happened, it's difficult to predict anything for this race 2.
Absolutely, especially considering that we got a 15-car reverse grid, and we have seen how chaotic it was in the first 2 corners, how tough it is to pass. Tough but possible to pass around here. Unfortunately, we have the confirmation that Greg Carr won't take part in race 2 due to connection issues. Too bad, it would have been great to see him fight back from the back end of the field. But yeah, this is going to be very, very, very interesting race. And Tony Klusterman, as we said, is starting in the front of the field, and he is going to have a great chance to put his first big result of the season in the books. 5 seconds left in this warm-up. I have to say congratulations to the organization. This year they are super quick in putting up the race 2 session, and we are ready to give you the starting grid for the second and final race of this traditional double-header event of the Euro V8 Supercar Series, sponsored by Racetech. Here we go.
Yes, and on pole position then is Nikolai Bogotayev after finishing in 15th place in race 1. He takes pole for race 2. Matt Bunn starts alongside him on the front row of the grid. Then it's Anthony Woodward, Tony Klusterman, Wayne Sanderson, Jamie McKnight, Marco Nomella, Richard Warmingham, Steve Lavelli, and Richard Alsop rounding up the top 10. Then it's Kane Halliburton, Chris Jackson in 12th place, Nicole Foggy, Johnny Brandon, George McClay, of course, race 1 winner, Clyde Whiting, Adam Chmielewski, Dominic Story, Yasor Sebula, Sam Buzan, Jake Blackhall, Peter Bingham, Tyler Newitt, Michael Frost, and then Ash Sutton and Andrew Hoffman will round out the 26-car field. Only a few more moments for the drivers to get on the grid. They are all on the grid, and we are about to get underway for race 2 of the evening. Already a jump start for one of the drivers, one of the XVR drivers. However, Nikolai Bogotayev will still lead the drivers away.
It's
Lavelli. Steve Lavelli with the jump start. However, Bogotayev taking a normal racing line into turn 1. It is a superb start for him. Bunn holds off the rest of the field. Klusterman with a good start, getting past Woodward, his own teammate. Nomella gaining 2 places straight away as Sanderson is dropping down the order, and he's stuck in the middle of the circuit. Drivers dive right and left to avoid this stricken car, and quite a few drivers did make contact in the end. Bogotayev now dropping down the order. Apologies, Bogotayev still in the lead. Apologies for that. But Tony Klusterman still in second place, trying to hunt him down. Blackhall dropping way down the order. Foggy also with a poor start. Ash Sutton is already ahead of Foggy as McKnight is into the wall as well.
Massive,
and the 16th, that is Sutton that time.
Massive wreck. Another big crash there. We see drivers trying to avoid the mess. I think that was somebody. Oh, look at that! Someone spun. I think was one of the. Maybe it was Jamie McKnight who spun on the inside. Yes, then back on the track, collecting other drivers. And that was absolutely a massive hit, as we have more crashing with Nicole Foggy. He's out there at the hairpin and losing ground very, very quickly. Dramatic start of the race here.
Yeah, absolutely incredible start to this event. Here was the incident that happened to Foggy. Oh
Oh!
my goodness! Now, was that deliberate or was that just an out-and-out mistake? I'm not quite sure. I don't know why anyone would have anything against Foggy out there. But that was Michael Frost. I think that was that a brake failure? Oh yeah, he just got, yeah, he tries to go round the back marker and just tapped Foggy. It's something that happens a lot around this circuit. Sure, Nicole will not be pleased whatsoever with that, as Bogatyrov skates off the
Oh, everyone!
circuit
Oh,
and
what's going
skates off the
on?
lead, as everyone's going off the circuit now. Bogatyrov is still in the lead, but something happened to Klosterman then on the opening lap. Why, he's down in third place, and it must have been Bunn then, who was on course, perhaps, for taking the first position. However, he's made a massive mistake, and he's lost the front half of his car. How's Nürburgring 07 all over again?
Yeah. Interesting start to the race, to say the least. Out of all this, Klosterman is in third, Brandon is up to fifth.
Wow.
So we need...
warming him up a place. Past Klosterman.
Yes, absolutely right. There at Degner 1 and 2. Let's see the other drivers. George McClay is okay. I think he got involved in that big crash at Dunlop, but he was able to get away with minimal damage. Of course, again, they will need to stop. Steve Lavelli is in to serve his stop and go.
Normella into the lead.
Normella into the lead, by the way. Yes, side by side with Bogatyrov.
He did go off the circuit for a moment there. He must have run wide at speed. However, he's still got the lead as the Racecraft Esports driver, as off the circuit is Woodwards. So, and he was buried in the tyres there. That was big damage for him. So many drivers going to have to pick up fast repairs to fix their damage as drivers filter their way back out. So it's Foggy getting back out onto the circuit. And also Frost as well, but he doesn't seem to have got a lot of that damage fixed. So, moving on to lap 3 of this race, and well, first couple of laps it has been so far. Normella leads by 0.6 of a second ahead of Nikolai Bogatyrov, pole sitter. Warmingham is ahead of Klosterman, who seems to have got back into the rhythm of it. Remember, Klosterman was up into second place by the first few corners, and yet must have had a poor first couple of laps because he dropped a place to Bogatyrov, then he dropped a place to Warmingham. He does seem to be a little bit better in the mix now without too much damage. However, Johnny Brandon, defending champion, race 1 winner, way down in the championship order going into this round. He is surely the favourite for this race win now. He is right on the tail of the Canadian. 4 championships divided between the two of them. And then we've got Alsop, Chmielewski and McClay as well. Watch out for McClay up in 8th place.
Things are starting to settle down, hopefully, as basically we have around...
Brandon and Klosterman. They're side by side. Apologies.
Yeah, no, don't worry. 10-car breakaway, more or less, even though they are a bit more spread out. Of course, top 5 trying to pull away, but I couldn't look past McClay, Alsop, Jackson also in this secondary part of the field. Leader of the club race is Peter Bingham in P12. Second is Clyde Whiting in P15, so Bingham could bring home some valuable points. Another driver who's having a lot of trouble is Wayne Sanderson. He has dropped 15 spots. And he's now trying to move past very damaged car of Jimmy McKnight.
Well, I think Sanderson spun.
Oh no!
Oh, contact! And now into the wall.
And here goes Brandon.
It's Johnny Brandon. And Klosterman as well involved in that one. Brandon, how much damage has he got on that car? An incredibly unpredictable evening of racing in the Racetech V8 Supercar series. And he's staying stationary. Is Brandon letting all the cars go, drop it into neutral, then first gear to spin the car around. Got a bit of history to these two. Klosterman off the circuit, comes back on. Oh, well, he tried to take the racing line then, Klosterman. Must say, from that perspective, it looked as though maybe Klosterman should have left a bit more space.
was the wrong replay. Maybe we have a better one.
Just unsettled the car, I guess, coming back on the track.
Almost collecting Bogatyrov. So it's 4 races and 4 big crashes for Johnny Brandon. He was able to limit the damage, of course, earlier in race 1, but he has to fly into the pits, and this will be too early, of course, to make it home with just 1 stop. So the title defense starts very, 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 very badly for Johnny Brandon. He will probably drop Monza. This is, close to being a bad result as well for him. And in the chaos, Marco Nurmela is pulling away 2.77 seconds over Rich Wormingham, and he has got his big fan club in the chat. We say hello, of course, to the Racecraft esports drivers talking to us in the chat.
Well, I hate to say that a few of them might be out of the race currently because of the craziness that we've seen. Kane Halliburton's out of the race too, but I think that's about it out of those guys. Going back out on the pits is Johnny Brandon. If there's any happiness to this, he's still ahead of Nicole Foggy and his teammate Steve Lavelli as well. There is Foggy. You'll be wondering, how on earth is he still ahead of me? However, he's probably, well, slightly relieved. I don't think he's massively pleased, though, that he's got 1 teammate retired behind him, and then his 2 teammates just in front of him, and occupying the last 3 spots of the drivers who are still going. Sebula and Bingham battling. Bingham down 1 place from his start. Sebula up 8. As McClay, could he be the favourite now? Could he get a double? Could Jackson go win this race and bring true my prophecy of him winning the championship? Who knows?
For starters, he just went, oh, Johnny Brandon.
Oh, wow.
Not his year so far, and that's putting it mildly.
Individual mistake.
And with his new tires...
I don't think he was...
You never stop the car, Sam. With his new tires, V7. If you go on the grass, like we saw earlier, of course, with the crash that involved Nicole Foggy at the hairpin with Frost, you don't stop the car. It's impossible.
3rd place. Alsop. Can he get past Bogatyrov? Bogatyrov on the inside for the hairpin. He's been good in defense so far, has the Russian. And he's still good in defense. Keeping behind the 31 Ford. Just behind them is Chmielewski and McClay. McClay yet to get past Chmielewski. He's has contact, I think, between McClay and Chmielewski. Who's off the circuit? Is he going to make contact? Oh, I think he went through the middle of them. And I'm not sure how on earth he did not take out the pair of them. I mean, everyone likes a bit of 10-pin bowling, but not round the Suzuka circuit. I mean, if they weren't fighting, one of them would have been gone.
Foggy 201.0, fastest lap of the race, but sadly for him, P20, long way to go, of course, for the one-time champion 2 seasons ago. And now look at McClay trying to make his move past Bogatyrov, the pole sitter. On the inside is the number 3. Of course, number change for him this season, if I'm not mistaken. And up into 4th place as we have Chmielewski into the pits for repairs. So Tony Klusterman, our secret agent, told us that he was expecting not a lot of variety in the sense of race strategy, with basically a pit stop midway through the race for the drivers, because these tires tend to drop off quite a bit, especially considering Japanese tarmac doesn't like to be very gentle on rubber. So we will see. I don't think that any of these guys will be able to make it home with these early stops. And look at Jake Blackwell now, Degner 1.
Ooh, that's
risky move.
Slow down, surely.
Possibly. Very risky.
Slow down start.
Not happy is Sambuzin. So far, so good for Blackwell. He's able. Oh dear. Okay.
Well, the one earlier on, he could excuse, I think, whereas that one,
He was not happy. Let's put it this
no.
way. So let's see it from the start.
I'm not quite sure why Buzan is unhappy about that one. I can see why maybe the car ahead is frustrated by this one. Didn't use his brakes a whole lot on that occasion. Former race winner, of course, Sam Buzan, from last season, hence why he's not a club driver anymore. Jackson, oh, he's too deep, he's going to miss the corner. Bogataya just about not making contact, and that's lost Jackson a lot of time. Can't even get out of the Casio triangle, and his chances at a podium not helping him there. Here comes McClay, moving up into third position. Surely here, Alsop, it's in his best interest to hold back the Texans Fitstone Motorsport driver for as long as possible. Just help out his teammate as he makes contact with McClay. He skates off the circuit, and we've seen how slippery the grass is so far, and now he loses a whole heap of time, and Bogataya is right on his tail. So 1 step forward, 2 step back there for George McClay.
Klosterman is in, McKnight is in. 2 teammates. But back to George McClay, let's see the replay of what just transpired here. See a bit of
he was
contact
trying to get
there.
a good run out, wasn't he? Was Alsop, but it's a bit too fast.
So a lot of tension, I would say, on the racetrack. These drivers really looking fired up. Let's see if Blackhole is coming back to St. Buzin. So this would be a fight to follow. Let's see, Buzin seems to be pulling away. Bingham here side by side with Sanderson. They are passing each other. Bingham is able to get the position back. Of course, Bingham still leading the club championship race in front of none other than Clyde Whiting, who's here, and of course his teammate, and for Have a Crack Racing, Andrew Hoffman, who is here.
It's quite a gap, 21 seconds between those two drivers as Bingham and Sanderson going side by side. Sanderson with the inside line into 130R. And that is simple for him. Into the top 10, into the pits, Alsop and Jackson. Had enough of those tyres. A few drivers coming in on lap 6 as well, so I assume lap 6 was the cut-off. Klusterman and Chmielewski, also McKnight, all coming into the pits on lap 6. And so I assume that is what the lap that you needed to get to the end of the race. We'll be interested to see if Jackson is still ahead of Klusterman, because he was fighting pretty hard with another driver. Klusterman may well still be the leader out of the drivers who have so far pitted. This is the proper leader, though. Jackson still ahead of Tony Klusterman, and Alsop ahead of him. Sebula now up into 7th place. He's done that quietly. I guess a lot of pit stops in front of him.
Yeah, 12 places gained for him. So far the biggest movers are Buzin and Blackhole with 15 places each.
Ooh, that's bold. Sebula leads in room.
Well, we were talking about not being very much used as a passing spot, this hairpin in racing. Tonight has been proven to be, at the very least, an interesting spot.
Yes.
Now, of course, passing requires you to use the brakes and, you know, go past the opponent. But that's another story.
I think Sanderson's a bit of an annoying fly at the moment for Sebula. I think Sebula's trying to take the race in line, and Sanderson diving in from all directions, and very much Sebula's just thinking, just go away, stop irritating me.
In my opinion, flies are not annoying, they are terrifying.
Maybe that's the way that Sebula feels right now. I'm not sure.
I am very scared of everything that is an insect and has got wings. So.
I mean, why do they need legs and wings? It's just
Exactly.
creepy. So Nomella, 2.4 seconds ahead of Warmingham, who's never won a race in this series. I'm just going to plant that seed there. McClay in third place now with a bit of clean air. He's outpacing those top two, but only by about 7/10 of a second a lap. This is one of the longest laps of the entire season that we visit. And then we've got this battle, Sebula. Well, we've got a few cars to be fair, then Sebula holding off Sanderson, 10.5. Can Sanderson maybe even go down the inside into this Dunlop curve? They are side by side, and if he'd kept with that car, we may have even seen the driver fall behind, because Sanderson is up into 6th place, only 1 place down from his race start. New driver to the series, of course, Sanderson, and so far from what we've seen, he seems like a good, solid midfield driver, upper midfield driver. Would certainly tout him for a couple of podiums this season.
The gap.
I was thinking potentially. Sorry.
Decreasing, but not by much. Just a couple of tenths per lap at most. 3 tenths here and there, but so far seems like Foggy isn't able to close in on his teammate Steve Lavelli, which much more of a testament to the good pace of Steve that you were noticing from practice already. Sorry, I want to go back here because this front end of this Bingham car is something else. Those green chrome reflexes are absolutely extraordinary. I am deeply in love with this car as Busing goes in for his pit stop. And so does Sebula.
Also Sebula. Foggy in the pits currently. He'd had enough. So, the 2 champions from the last 3 seasons.
Oh man, did you see that? V8 was basically almost rolling over at the chicane. And here we go, because
it's car number 2, Sam Bizan. That's
yeah.
pole position.
Could we have round number 2 between the 2 drivers here? Oh, we do.
Oh dear. And now Bizan's going to lose that position, and that'll. Well, we're a long way away from Christmas, but I think he's got pretty much a blacklist here. Again, Bizan seemingly coming across a little bit, maybe unsettled slightly coming out of the corner. And Blackwell, after picking some solid lap times, has to set some new lap times again. However, I feel like we're going to have round 3 between those two before too long.
So top 7 yet to stop. Of course, we have some drivers that have already stopped once, but too early, and they will therefore have to stop again. I'm looking at Steve Lavelli, for example. Here comes the race leader. So far, a spotless race for Marco Nurmela, with Richard Warmingham, who now takes the provisional lead of the race, and George McClay also staying out. Let's see. Bogatairev is having a fantastic race. Usually you see leaders of the reverse grid drop back, but not him. He's keeping it very straight, and looking possibly at the top 5, top 10 come the end of the race. As another great driver today, leader of the club championship race, Peter Bingham, is in for his stop.
Coming out of the pits there was Marco Nomella, leader of the race, and this will give us a reference as to where all the drivers who haven't pitted yet are in reality. You can cut that white line. He's not going to pick up a penalty for that. Keeps it on the circuit, which is pretty impressive on those cold tyres. It is very tricky. So he's still ahead of Alsop then. So it's actually it if you count only the drivers who are pitted, it's Racecraft Esports 1-2, so you're doing very well. Round 3, ding, ding, ding. Blackall down the inside, Buzan running round the outside. Good driving from these two at the moment. And Blackall does get ahead. I don't think there's going to be any response here from Buzan. And Blackall finally gets ahead. And I think for everyone's sanity, hopefully that's the last we see of those two going side by side.
Blackall doing the smart thing, in my opinion, and not retaliate, despite the two dubious incidents that we have just seen between the pair of them. Now, of course, his main objective will be to pull away and try to look at the top 10 occupied at the moment by Adam Chmielewski, of course.
Will actually be pretty far up in the championship after this, Jake Blackall. I assume McClay, as long as he can hang on to his to maybe a podium, which is what he's on target for at the moment, will be at the top of the championship as half distance, everyone coming into the pits. The track temperature is decreasing, I assume, seeing that it's quite late, 23 degrees Celsius. I believe it's, as Marco brings it up on the screen, 6 o'clock in the evening. So yeah, it's getting
you have the
cooler.
graphics today.
I do have the. I've got the live HUD provided by SDK Gaming.
Okay. But you're still on your you are still on the potato machine, right?
No, I got my good computer. I'm at home at the moment because
okay.
I got a V8
Of course,
Supercar,
you're driving. Of course, you're driving in the race.
Yeah. Coming out of the pits, so quite significant things happening in the race at the moment. Apologies for that tangent. Warmingham's got ahead of Namella. That's a change for lead. The overcuts for the XVR driver. It was a shorter pit stop for him. It was a really short pit stop. 4 seconds faster in the pits for Richard Warmingham, and he's gone from 2 seconds behind to 2 seconds ahead. Namella, with the warmed up tyres, will be able to catch up, particularly at the starts of this lap, as you'll currently see it visually. Alsop is in 3rd place. Kloosterman, who might be able to get to the end of the race, is in 4th. This is providing Sanderson hasn't pitted yet.
Sorry. Oh dear, I thought they were going wide. I don't know why, but for a second the tarmac looked like the gravel to me. I'm getting older, I apologize.
Where is McClay out of this? So McClay with plays down in 5th. I was saying, as long as he holds onto this podium, he's nowhere near the podium at the moment. He's got to get past Alsop and Kloosterman. We've seen Michael Taliancic, of course, go the full race distance with 1 tank of fuel. Hence why I say that Kloosterman pitting on lap 6 should get him to the end of the race. I think he should be fine on fuel. But, of course, we'll have very aging tyres, as he already has done. And Namella, with these fresh tyres, we saw this in the AOSC Super Series the other day, how if you have the undercut basically isn't a factor. The advantage of the undercut is that when the other driver comes into the pits, you'll have warm tyres. You're not going to get track position necessarily, but you'll have warm tyres. And so this is not Marco Namella's best opportunity of winning this race. Sanderson is into the pits. He'll drop outside the top 10, I assume. And Namella's got to make this one stick absolutely straight away. Every corner, though, Warmingham is heating up those tyres, and later on in this race, of course, he's going to have the younger tyres, is Warmingham. So Namella taking a tighter line. He's still got a big pace advantage as he tries to go round the outside, and Eddie Irvine move from 1997 perhaps has contact between the two of them. That's certainly not Eddie Irvine, as trying to maybe line this one up for the hairpin, where I've seen many overtakes before. No opportunity into the Degners. You can see Richard Alsop, Namella's teammate, closing in on these guys behind. Not the exit, though, that Namella wanted. And Warmingham now a lap and a half old tyres. He's getting back to the peak performance of those tyres now.
Yes, he is, and looking like he could hold on. Of course, he will have to hold on for the next 20 minutes or so, as we have a great fight here for 4th place. McLay trying to get past Klusterman for 4th position.
Klisterman will go defensive into Spoon. He's usually pretty stern in his defences, Tony Klisterman. Chris Jackson, I don't know, do we know what happened to Jackson? Why he fell back behind Klisterman? Because he was ahead after the pit stops, but Klisterman ahead now, that's probably the most important thing. Maybe Jackson showing with the cold tyres. Here comes McLay then. Are we going to see Alonso Schumacher 05 again? McLay round the outside, and it's a superb move from the TechSense Pitstone Motorsport driver. That was brave there, almost contact between the two of them. He left space though for Klisterman, that was the important factor. And now he's really on a charge. 9 seconds to catch up to the race leader.
And his last lap, Birmingham was 2/10 faster than Marco Nurbela, so a good response for the XVR driver as he's trying to pull away, as Sebula is having some issues at the Casio triangle. I think he went around. Fighting with Bokatairev and outbraking himself.
Still Bingham, the leader out of the club drivers. He's only just ahead of Sori and Whiting. Whiting's second place out of the club drivers. Lavelli having a tough time in 19th place. We've also got Michael Frost in 20th place. I believe only 20 drivers still running. We've got Boggy and Bunn, Brandon and Woodward, along with Halliburton and Sutton, I don't believe took the start. It's been a crazy evening of racing. Possibly even more crazy than what we saw at Monza No Chicanes. And that was at Monza No Chicanes after all.
Yeah, there we had, of course, the two big pile-ups, one at the start of race 1, the other at the start of race 2. But here it has been smaller situations, but with big, maybe even bigger implications championship-wide. The two XVR teammates colliding on the final lap of the race, gifting away the victory to the main rival for the series this year, I believe, George McLay. And also, of course, what happened in race 2 with a big mess that involved in separate crashes both Foggy and Brandon. And once again, for Johnny Brandon, like I said, 4 races, 4 big crashes. He got away with it in race 1 because it was the final lap, as McLay 2:00.765, fastest lap of the race for him, 2 seconds faster than Alsop. He got away with it in race 1, even though he had to renounce to a victory because of the collision. He couldn't fight for it, he had to settle for second. But in race 2 it didn't work for him and he had to retire after a big collision with Tony Klusterman. So Johnny Brandon really unlucky start of his title defense. So you see here Richard Alsop and George McLay closing in very quickly, and this could be a tasty fight. Would bring, oh dear,
oh, he's going to do well to keep that out of the base. Just about gets it back onto the tarmac and hits the apex superbly. But McLay with a better exit, another move into the hairpin maybe. I think he's got time. He's got 4 lap fresher tyres as well. And this one could be a bit easier than what McLay expected it to be. Looks to the inside. And Alsop lets him have it. Smart driving from the 31 car. For a reference there, for a moment, the top 3 drivers in this race were 3 drivers who have never won a race in this series. Dipping a wheel onto the grass there, Alsop. You covered that well, though.
He did, absolutely. So the gaps in real time then, it's 1.8 seconds at the front to Birmingham, pulling away from Marco Nurbela. Then it's 8.5 seconds between the race leader and George McLay, who will look to pull away from the driver now in 4th, Richard Alsop. Then it's Klusterman and Jackson, Chmielewski, Blackhall, Buzin, and running up the top 10 is Jamie McKnight, as again 5/10 gained by Birmingham. He is on a roll. Let's see the comparison of the last few laps, and as you can see, he has been gaining ever since the pit stops.
He was even faster than McClay on the last lap, although McClay, of course, did have to make that overtake, which held him out most likely. Warmingham is well on course for the race victory. However, this is such a tricky circuit, such a narrow circuit, where dipping a wheel onto the grass/gravel will easily hinder your opportunities. Could well end up in a wall, but Warmingham driving really well at the moment. Marco, he's never won a race, has he, Richard Warmingham? Not that I can recall.
Not that I can recall as well.
Blackwell was pulled away from Bizan, only by 1 second. He gets held up much more by Adam Chmielewski. Then we could see round 4 of that battle. Namella from second place. He's still in second place, but not comfortably anymore. Where is McClay? He'll try to go round the outside here. This is going to be brave. Namella managing to take back the racing line, but McClay maybe looking to the inside into Spoon. Namella's going to be deep as well, I think, into Spoon. He goes off the circuit. There's plenty of grip out there, though, once you go past the green stuff, as McClay almost spins the car. Namella's off the circuit. McClay wins out there. He's up into second place. 9 seconds to catch up to the lead. Namella's not happy with it, but it was his mistake, which gave the Texans Pitstone Motorsport driver the opportunity.
He was pushing too hard and locked the front left, and of course the getaway he lost. Oh!
Oh, Warmingham back into the pits. There was a short pit stop for him.
I mean, what else can happen in this race? I have no idea. Maybe some invasion of insects on the racetrack, because everything is happening. And now George McClay, once again, I have to say tonight, even though this is, of course, not knocking on everything he did, but yeah, he finds himself in the race lead. And Marco Nurmela will be kicking himself, because he had a massive advantage over George McClay until his mistake happened last lap. So absolutely disaster for the Finnish driver, and now he has to close the gap, and close the gap quickly in this final 10 minutes and change of the race. Otherwise, McClay could bring home his first double of his Euro V8 career.
Warmingham with a 14-second pit stop, which is pretty much the same as what everyone else has been doing. So I don't know what he was doing at his first pit stop. Oh, Jackson's off the circuit now. He was chasing down Klusterman. That's not too bad for him, but he has lost about 6 seconds with that one. Chasing down the Canadian. And did well to slow down the car, minimise the risk of contact. But yeah, Warmingham, like I said earlier on, had a 38-second pit stop from pit entry to pit exit. And that time, I guess just didn't take enough fuel. Strange that he didn't go a bit further, though. Still taking fuel. Who knows? We don't usually get an interview as well with Richard. I don't think he's probably in the mood for an interview, because that was a possible race victory for him. He will be back quickly towards the end of the race with those fresh tyres.
And even I think he was holding his own very nicely as Nurmela is around and almost collects his teammate Alsop at the Casio triangle. And Alsop will take second place. And here comes Tony looking for the podium. The second half of the race has been a nightmare for the Finnish driver, who had such a beautiful and clean first half of the race. Growing pains, I would imagine, for him dealing with his new car.
So he made a mistake chasing after Warmingham. So now made a mistake chasing after McClay, though I don't think that's pushing too hard. Just locking the rear brakes again, and he was so desperate to get back going. And big credit there for Richard Alsop, because he stopped the car impressively quickly. Look how Namella's now caught back up to Alsop. By the way, McClay with a 6.5 second lead. It looked all over when Warmingham didn't have his issues. But then, oh no.
End of the line.
Is that all the XVR drivers out? think that's all the XVR drivers retired.
We have Steve Lavelli is the only one, but down in 17th place. Everyone else has parked their car. A nightmare round for the XVR boys. Could be a great round for Texans Fitztime Motorsports with their lone. What's the word? Well, their lone warrior, I would say, even though that's not what I wanted to say. George McClay, able to fight the horde of all these rivals. What could have been for Racecraft, as Nurmela was so close to a race victory and would have been first if it wasn't for that mistake earlier, a couple of laps ago, when after he was too aggressive chasing the previous leader Wormingham and spun. Then Wormingham went to the pits, but then McClay already went past him. And as you can see, Richard Alsop is holding his own. Tony Klusterman dropping back a bit. Tony, of course, stopped super early, lap 6, so he might be doing a little bit of fuel saving. Who knows? I mean, we have seen crazier stuff happen today, and so I mean, I wouldn't put it past Alsop and Nurmela to go all crazy in this fight for second place. So certainly, the fight for the podium is not over just yet.
To be fair to Nomella, maybe something that will comfort him later on is that McClay was on target to catch him. However, he did have about 5 seconds, maybe even more than that, probably 6 or 7 seconds over McClay when he made that mistake. But yeah, well, at least once a podium would still be a really good result for the Racecraft Esports drivers, who have pumped lots of drivers and resources into this series. We're taking the V8 Supercar very seriously. It's fantastic to have such a team involved, and just on their second meeting to score as many points as this would be really good. We'll have a couple of drivers far up in the standings. Certainly seems as though Nomella's the faster driver though at the moment. Of course, has got 3-lap. Fresher tyres has Nomella, but Alsop's been really consistent and has deserved this second place. He'll go down the inside and that contact. And Klusterman, will he go through into second place? He'll go up into third place. However, that will be a good exit for Alsop, really cutting that corner nicely. Oh, well, I don't know, Marco. I'm flabbergasted at this point.
Have you ever? Well, we've seen in race 1, but yeah, have you ever, regardless?
It's fair that we say Tony Klusterman, he's not necessarily the fastest guy out there, but he's staying on the circuit. He's usually the fastest guy out there. And he could get a second place out here by that really early pit stop. Nomella's up into second place, so I guess I think that swap was probably wise, but I don't think the swap necessarily had to involve Alsop being escorted off the circuit. There's Jackson in fifth. Sure, you get away from these guys. It's stressing me out too much. Chmielewski, saying Bizan. Oh no, it's Bizan and McKnight, to be fair, not Bizan and Blackhall. So Blackhall clearly got past Chmielewski. He's now 3 seconds ahead of him. Chmielewski now holding up Bizan, with McKnight a further second behind. McKnight's going to be pretty far up in the championship after this. Had a solid first round, I think, at Monza. Of course, driver in AOSC, maybe even V8 Scops as well.
So I'm looking for
I think most of it. So.
I'm looking for cars without a scratch, and there are, of course, some of the drivers took a fast repair, but apart from that, I like the new, I say this every time, this new scraped paint effect that iRacing has put into some of the cars in the service. So basically, instead of seeing just a scratch, you also see the paint being scraped off from the car itself. It's pretty evident in some of these competitors' machines. I think Blackhole, you can see the left side of his CQR car has seen better days. Right side looks decent so far, as we are about to head into the final 2 laps of this race, as a new lap starts for George McClay. Lap 21 is enjoying 10 seconds over Marco Nurmela, 11 over Tony Klusterman, and of course rounding up your top 5 are Allsop and Jackson.
Buzan close this time to Chmielewski. This is his best opportunity so far. Chmielewski dropping out ever so slightly, goes to the middle of the circuit. It's going to be a tight corner for Buzan, and Chmielewski carries too much speed in, surely gets back onto the circuit. Remarkably, didn't lose too much grip out there. I'll have a nice exit. Usually it's the driver on the outside at this point who has the advantage. Later on contact, I think a bit of netcode between the two of them. Chmielewski almost running wide onto the grass, and now it's Buzan who runs wide onto the grass. McKnight taking a much wider and arching line than its two opponents. And they've also got to contend with seemingly Chmielewski dropping in and out. He's had that lagging issue all race long. All evening long, in fact. Nikolai Bogotayev is behind. I remember when Bogotayev was in first place. When he had that off at turn 1. That feels a decade ago by now. A few seasons ago. But yeah, he's in 10th place still.
Yeah, great result for him so far, 10th place. Let's see, Peter Bingham is still in the lead of his class in front of Whiting, Hoffman and Steve Lavelli. Lavelli could bring home at least a podium in his class. Back to this fight here because Chmielewski is defending very nicely against the ISIA Racing driver Sam Buzin. And maybe this could be a good chance. He's got a great run on the inside. McKnight waiting in the wings there.
Last time Chmielewski really squeezed Buzan on the inside. This time Buzan can take a much more comfortable line in the middle of the circuit, and he moves up into 7th place. Alsop's into the pits. Oh, and he's going to get a penalty for that as well. Oh, he's going to have to take some extra fuel. How long was his first pit stop? I'm not sure we're going to see anymore. But I think it was okay.
He towed.
Did he miss his pit stall?
No. See, he towed.
I don't know if there's maybe a real-world issue there for Richard Alsop, but wanted to get out that car nice and quick. Chmielewski round. And Bogotayev will move up a place, side by side between Sanderson and Sebula as well. Chmielewski gets back going, and Sanderson and Sebula will gain that place. Bingham will be pretty close as well to Adam. 1 second between the two of them now. 10 seconds to go. 10 seconds for something spectacular to happen, or half a lap, really, for something spectacular to happen. You wouldn't bet against it. If George McClay went off at this point, I don't think I'd hold back my breath whatsoever, because we've seen craziness in this race 2. We thought race 1 was crazy. This race 2 has blown it out of the water, and then some. 12 seconds separates the top 2. We did not expect George McClay to be in this position. Remember, he won race 2 at Monza. It was an awful race 1 for him at Monza. But won race 2. He won race 1 as well, sitting in 3rd place, and it didn't look too strong for him either to back that one up. 2 race victories in the past 2 seasons. He's going to double that just today. George McClay rounds the final corner and for Texans Pitstone Motorsports, he is going to take race 2 at Suzuka. Meeting 2 of the season. He gets full points. Marco Nurmela, well, it took a zigzag to get there, but it's 2nd place, and it's a very good result for the Finnish driver. Tony Klusterman somehow finishing on the podium. Jay McKnight is trying to get past Sam Buzan. Buzan's wide, and McKnight is wide as well. You could have maybe got him on the run to the line had he been slightly earlier on the brakes. However, it's still decent points for the pair of them. Buzan, again, convoluted way for him. And Blackhole finishing in 5th place. How did that happen? Sanderson crossing line as well. Everyone else. Bingham is going to be top of the club drivers in 12th place. Whiting and Lavelli rounding up the podium in that category. So, Marco, we've seen some crazy races in this championship. We've seen Bellal last season. I remember Phillip Highland from a couple of seasons ago as well. Doing some crazy endurance races. I honestly think that might be the top of all of them. Not necessarily in terms of, well, I think what was emphasized by it was the fact that it happened to all the top drivers seemingly, apart from maybe McClay, and it was stuff that we don't associate with these drivers, and yet really all our expectations were couldn't have possibly been correct.
I mean, that was absolutely one of the craziest rounds, especially the second race that I've ever had the pleasure to commentate on in this championship, because, like you said, anything that could have gone wrong for the leaders or the top drivers of the championship happened, and there was some major drama. Drivers pitting at the very end of the race, as we are seeing at the start of the race again from McClay's perspective here. Um, Big uncertainty, almost a new winner in Marco Murmela. In the end, it was the first ever double for George McClay. Roosterman sneaked into the podium with great experience despite a tough race. Of course, he's coming together with Johnny Brandon, who will be a point of contention, as you see here. Oh man, how close was that to the end of the line for George McClay at the start of the race? Great reflexes, great avoidance, gets the victory, and here we go with the race results.
Yes, and it's George McClay for the double for Tech Sense Fitstyle Motorsport. Marco Namella in second place, staying Cleveland rounding out the podium. Then there's Chris Jackson, Jake Blackhall, Sam Buzan, Jamie McKnight, Nikolai Bogatire, Wayne Sanderson, and Adam Chmielewski rounding out the top 10. Peter Bingham was top of the club drivers. Then there's Dominic Sori, Clyde Whiting, Yasser Sebula, and Steve Lavelli. Andrew Hoffman was in 16th place with Richard Alsop and Michael Frost in 17th and 18th. Then was Richard Warmingham, Tyler Newitt. In fact, Warmingham was the first retiree. In fact, a whole run of XVR drivers. Newitt, Nico Foggy, and Johnny Brandon accompanying his teammates. Matt Bunn was a retiree. Anthony Woodward and Kate Halliburton retiring, along with Ash Sutton as well. 26 drivers out there. So, interviews, and could get some interesting interviews here. No swearing, please. I don't think this guy will be swearing because he won both races, and it was in incredible circumstances as well. George McClay, congratulations. Incredible couple of race victories. Let's start off with race one. Just take us through your pace in that one. You seem to be holding back a little bit from the top two in the early stages, but then you were closing them in, and in the end, you saw what happened in front of you.
I know race one was, what do you call it? They had a wee bit of speed on us at the start, as you said, and then the two of them got close together again, and then they kind of started maybe driving a wee bit defensive, and then that let me catch right back onto the end of it. And then the plan was just to try and attack Foggy and see what opportunities he gives us. And then you saw the end result. It was, I think Foggy just touched him slightly and they both went off. So it was an easy win.
And then race two, just take us through your start because we saw a bit of an onboard of it. It was quite chaotic.
It was a chaotic start. I was trying to avoid cars here, there, and everywhere. But thankfully, I got through most of it without getting too much damage. But it's actually quite a hard track to overtake around here when the cars are in front of you because they're losing the time in the S's and that and not so much on the straight. So if they've got a car in front of you when you get to the straight, it's kind of hard to get by them. So I did. I need to check some of the replays. I don't know if I maybe forced my way by a wee bit on some occasions. But then once we came in the pits, I saw when Rich was in front of me, I was like, wow, that was a really, really quick stop that he done. And then, what do you call it? A few laps later, I came out behind all the traffic, and then I saw I had to pit again. But and then they kind of just go by Tony, and then a couple of other ones, and that was it. Basically, it was good.
I was saying earlier on how you've had 2 race victories over the course of the past 2 seasons, and yet 2 rounds into this season, you've won 3 out of 4 races. I mean, you're going to be quite far ahead in the championship now. This is an incredible start to the season. It is.
It's a great start to the season, but I'm not going to take too much for it because the competition in here this year is really, really strong. There's loads of great drivers in here, and everybody's going to have a bad night at some point, including obviously myself. And even looking through the names, you've got the XVR guys who are really quick. You've got Tony, Chris, um, the Race Esports Craft, RKA, they guys are really quick as well. With Kane, Richard Alslop, and Mark Novella. So there's loads of really quick guys here. So I just have to take it one meeting at a time.
Definitely. Well, congratulations on today's result, George. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
There is. I'd like to thank TechSense Fitstime Motorsport for helping us with the setup, especially Michael. Actually, he sat with us for 3 hours um, earlier on in the week, and we ran all the dampers through the Motec to try and make it better, and it did probably make me a couple of tenths quicker. So a big thanks to Michael for that, and the rest of the guys at the team as well.
Well, thanks for having a chat with us, George, and best of luck in 2 weeks' time.
Right, thanks, Sam.
That was George McClay. Marco, who are we going to have a chat with next?
We are going to have a chat with Marco Nurmela. Hello, Marco.
Hello, hello.
So, well, tell us about your meeting, especially race 2, where you had a very good first part of the race, but then in the second half, a couple of mistakes probably prevented you from fighting for the race win with George.
Yeah, I got I didn't know what happened with the Birmingham. Like he was ahead of me after pit stop and coming later on the pit stop. I didn't know what happened there, so I started pushing like crazy, and I burned my tires completely there. So that was it.
If I'm not mistaken, you are fairly new to this car. Are you progressing positively according to yourself with the car, especially comparing this round to the round in Monza, where admittedly, of course, the track was a bit crazy, so maybe it was difficult to have some kind of references. But do you feel you're getting more comfortable with the car now?
Yeah, I think the like everyone is new to the car with the new car and the tire model, so like yeah, that's not the excuse. And yeah, didn't really have that much practice. I was helping with Pat Hurst with our team, so and I was lazy, so yeah. I think I'm in pace if I just put the practice in. Just, yeah.
So next time around, in a couple of weeks, we will be racing in the first enduro of the season. Will be on the VLN layout of the Nordschleife. Of course, consistency is going to be key. What do you think about the Nordschleife as a whole, as a racing track?
It's a good track, but for me, I'm gonna have to miss the race. I have work, so yeah, I'm gonna help the teammates to with setup, and that's pretty much it. I'm
That
gonna start focusing on Spa, so yeah.
That's a bit unfortunate, but then we will be waiting for you for the next few rounds then. But once again, congratulations for the result today. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
I gonna thank Richard for the great. He let me pass, and I punted him away. It was a great move from me. And yeah, teammates helping with the setup, and good luck to the teammates on Bathurst, and of course you guys for the stream and such. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Marco, and catch you in the next few weeks then.
Okay, see you.
Our last interview will be
Apologise.
with Johnny Branton, who he rudely interrupts. I will just
That's
remind you,
okay.
please no swearing during
I
So-
won't do any swearing.
race one. You know what? We'll start with the high because we don't usually see a whole lot of overtakes between you and Nicole because you are so evenly matched, and you actually overtook him. That must have felt pretty sweet.
Highlight of my year. It doesn't happen very often. Someone like him, I tell you, it's he actually made a mistake for once, and yeah, luckily I was there and had decent pace. Yeah, it was great. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay,
And then
heading
he
down
wiped me out.
Yeah. So into
I
turn
think
one.
it was a bit of net code, to be honest. He's devastated. Do you know what? It was a fantastic race, and that's what I'm here for. And grinning from ear to ear, he doesn't do that deliberately. Things happen, you know. He's gutted about it. He's properly gutted about it. But the problem is, he's not used to cars being in front of him, Foggy. He's always right at the front. So I think it was a bit of a surprise. He didn't know what to do.
So you finished in second place in the end, which is a very good result in race one.
Yeah,
and
congrats to
then
George. He did really well. He was coming and he picked up the pieces and had great pace. So he did.
and then race two. Take us through your start first of all, because it was a nice start.
Yeah, I got away quite well. There was cars spinning off all over the place and running wide at corners, and I just kept it on the circuit. And I think I was up in about after lap one, which was a pleasant surprise after the last round 2 weeks ago. I think I didn't make turn 2 in the first race. I didn't make turn 1 in the second race. So yeah, it was nice for things to start going my way, and then it all went wrong.
Yeah, take us through the incident with Tony from your perspective.
Well, from my perspective, we went up the straight. I think he had a bit of damage because he seemed slow on the straight. I went up the inside into 130R. We had a slight touch. I was kind of expecting to back out a bit beforehand, to be honest, because I had such an overlap. And then he seemed to go off, keep his foot in, run wide, come back on, and then come across into me is how I saw it. He's apologised for it. There was some other stuff that went on that wasn't great from my point of view, but there's no need to bring that up. But yeah, it basically ended my race, and it's a little culmination of certain things just made me stop. There was a little bit more going on, and I decided not to race anymore. But yeah, unfortunate.
Of
But a
course,
long way to go,
fortunately-
and it was great fun. I love these cars.
Definitely. Fortunately, we go to a nice calm circuit next, Nordschleife, for the next Untitled Championship. So, have you ever driven any V8 Supercars around that track? Have you ever driven anything around that track?
Driven plenty of cars on iRacing around that track. I don't think I've driven a V8 round there. So that'd be good. The only bad news is I think it's Foggy's favourite track.
Ah,
So, yeah, may present a problem to me.
well,
But
we
I do
certainly
know it well. So I you know, it's not like I've got to learn the track. I know where I'm going around there. So the target, as always, is to see if I can keep up or get anywhere near Foggy, because he's exceptionally quick. That Nürburgring and Bathurst is like, I don't know anybody faster than him. I've never seen anybody faster than him. Those two, it is ridiculous. So yeah, we'll see.
Any idea on what we're going to do for qualifying for that? Because 10-minute qualifying for that place, I don't think it's going to work too well.
I think qualifying is going to be half hour. I think
Good.
they're going to qualify a bit longer beforehand to allow for that. I think Tony suggested that last week, so I think that's in the plan. But you'll have to speak to Clyde on that. I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to do.
So before we let you go, Johnny, is there any shout-outs you'd like to give to anyone?
Yeah, but I won't do that. I'll say thank you to my teammates and everyone that runs the league, and Racetech for sponsoring it. and Inter Racing, Virtual Racing Association, Simmodel, Host 365, and XVR. And my teammate for robbing me of a V8 win, my first one of the season. Thanks, Nickel. And
Thanks
you
for having
guys
a
for
chat.
the great broadcast. Cheers, guys.
Awesome, thanks. Well, yeah, thanks for having a chat with us, Johnny, and best of luck for Nordschleifer.
My ass, fingers crossed, can only get better. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. So that is defending champion Johnny Branton having a chat with us there. So, Marco, like we were saying before, next round of the series is going to be an endurance race as well, round the Nordschleife. That's a challenge that the series has never taken on before. We saw Sim Racers World last season on their 5th season, I believe, tackling the Nordschleife for the first time. We're now on our 8th season in this series and tackling the Nordschleife for the first time, I think, since the season finale in season 3. So, yeah, that's going to be an unusual challenge for the guys. That's not a normal car track combination.
No, and of course it's going to be a challenge for the driver, a challenge for us because broadcasting from there it's never easy, but it might provide for some. I'm looking at Johnny especially, but these drivers who are super quick, maybe if they can qualify at the front, stay away from trouble in the first because we are doing the VLN layout, so we have that Mickey Mouse chicane, no, in the first corner instead of the Mercedes arena. Apart from that, I think that the drivers that are quick will be able to stay at the front, and of course, then it will be their responsibility to you know stay focused and don't crash, and they have the opportunity to bring home some good points, and who knows, maybe turn their season around. So that's going to I'm not the greatest fan of the Nordschleife, but that place is such an historic track, and there are trouble spots everywhere. It's a track that can catch you out unawares, especially of course with these cars. So yeah, cannot really wait for it. A couple of weeks time, it's going to be great.
Definitely. Really looking forward to that one. Yeah, as Marco says, in a couple of weeks' time, George McClare will be the championship leader going into that. Not sure if he's ever led the championship before, but he leads the championship and by a healthy margin now, going into the 3rd meeting of the season in the Racetech V8 Supercar series. Elsewhere on Apex Racing TV coming up, nothing tomorrow, unfortunately. However, on Monday, we had the return of the World GT Championship. First round of the season in that. On Tuesday morning, we'll have the official IMSA. Of course, we've got Rick Mutek sports car series as well. Monday night, Monday evening for you Americans. And then we've got on Wednesday on the iRacing Esports Network, I believe we have the media day in the Sim Racers World GT Championship. And on what else have we got? Of course, we've got AOFC next Friday morning. We've got IndyCar next Friday night. We've got Formula Renault 3.5 next Saturday evening. We've also got the Apex Racing League GT Championship getting underway relatively soon. Sign up details can be found on our Facebook page on that and on the Apex Racing League website. Lots of stuff. So you subscribe to Apex Racing TV, subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network, and if you enjoyed this video, please like it as well. But from me and from Marco, we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.